sessions, I will cover scaling deep learning to graphs with respect to convolutional neural network features and GNN, that is graph neural network structures. So these are the basic contents that I will cover in this lecture. First is the scalability crisis, that is big data in this real world. As Professor Chakravarti in the morning session has very well explained about the big data's problem. So from that we will start. And as my field is just related to the image processing, so I will just divert big data problems in the field of image processing. So for that we need some basis, for example neural networks, then convolutional neural networks, then how to just bridge from pixels, that is an image is represented with the help of pixels. Now how to transfer these pixels to the topology. Topology means in the form of graphs. Then we will cover simple graph neural network foundations, and then with some future directions in which we can use these technologies. So first I will start from the same 4 V's of big data. In morning lecture, Professor Chakravarti has very well explained what are these 4 V's. That is volume, variety, velocity and veracity. So now in this lecture we will move from volume to variety. Volume to variety means we will try to handle high dimensional complex data, that is today's real world data. If we see in today's world, everything is in the form of images and videos. So we will just try to cover this variety of data, and as we have seen that in yesterday structured DBMSs were used, that is proper index databases were used, but in today's world we have unstructured data. Unstructured data means unstructured data means videos, and as we know videos are just, what are videos? These are just a sequence of images, sequence of image frames, and an image is represented with the help of a matrix. So videos are also stored in the form of matrices. And if we say in terms of videos, then we say this is just, you can say, problem of big data. That is just, if we say just one image means so many number of pixels, and if we say video is a sequence of images. So then that means we need so much storage space as well as we need simultaneous processing to process this sequence of frames. So here scalability mandate is just, we say we should have architectures that must scale to complexity, not just the size. So just we can say transforming raw pixels into actionable plans. If we say in the real world where we are using video cameras, so just we can say enterprises are drowning in photos, videos and sensor feeds. Unstructured data is impossible to index or search manually. So we want AI shift, that is just we use AI to read and tag visual data automatically. So just then that means we want to identify critical patterns in the videos that a human eye can miss. So we want decision engines, that is turning these cluttered pixels into the real-time business instructions, that is moving from the passive storage to the active intelligence. Then that means here just we do not want to store only the data, as Professor Chakravarti in last lectures already explained. Then storage of data is not sufficient. When we store the data, after that we want to analyze that data. We want to retrieve some meaningful information from that data. Similarly, in today's world we are storing a number of videos, but if we do not want to extract the meaningful information information from that video, then that storing of videos is useless. So then that means we want just active intelligence. Active intelligence means just to process these videos and interpret those videos. In coming slides, we will discuss some emerging areas in which we can do the research using these convolutional neural network and the graph neural network. So we can say visual intelligence is about automating the understanding of complex environments, not just collecting more data. Now from here we will start our just the basics of image processing and basics of videos, that is visualizing an image as a mathematical point. All who have studied image processing, they know how to store the image in the system. Then that means to store an image in the system, we just do the sampling. Sampling means just we divide our image into the spatial coordinates. So after that we also do the process of quantization. What is quantization? Just you can say to store the intensity values. So we can say every image is a grid of numbers. So in case of grayscale images, we have just one matrix, that is only we store the grayscale values. But if we have colored image, then we have three matrices. We have to store three components. One is the red component, green component and the blue component. So just we can say the images are actually stored in the form of matrices. That is 2D structure, two-dimensional arrays. So when we want to process these two-dimensional arrays, we have to flatten them. Flatten them means we have to just store them in the form of a vector. So here we can see if we have a 224 into 224 image, then that means when we flatten it, we will get around 50,000 dimension. So in big data, an image is a single point sitting in a 50,000 dimensional space. Then that means, for example, if we want to do some image similarity problem, we want to search similar images, then that means we have to search an image related to a particular image from a big set of images. Now each image is just a single point. In the 50, if each image is represented with the help of 224 into 224, then that means in the 50,000 dimension, every image is just a single point. Then that means we have to deal with so much data. So how to deal with such type of data? For this, just we can say neural networks come into the picture. So as we say, our brain, a human intelligence, if we say human intelligence is mostly devoted to the vision problem. 90% of the brain is just devoted to the vision. So what is in our brain? Just in the form of, just we can say, we have neurons. Just we process signals. Similarly, this neural network is a simulation of, just you can say, human brain. So brain does not read files, it processes the electrical pulses. So similarly, in case of artificial intelligence, we develop artificial neural network, that is artificial neurons. So we map 50,000 pixels to the artificial neurons. So just you can see here, that is in this case, just you can see in this case, this is a just example of a neural network. Now see, coming to the next slide. See here. Here when we say an image is fed to a neural network, we can see that is just these 256 into 256 pixels are just converted to the one-dimensional vector, and then these are given to a neural network. Then these are given to a neural network. Now this neural network processes these pixel values and gives some probability that what type of an image it is. So just you can see, neural network is just a fully connected neural network. Neural network, if we say simple neural network, this is a fully connected neural network. So here we can see this thing, that is this green. What are these green symbols? These are the actual pixel values of an image. And now these pixel values are processed with the help of these hidden layers. And after processing, some probability is given. That is what type of image it is. What is the probability that this image is of a cat, this image is of a dog? What is the probability? So how this neural network actually learns? Neural network learns with the help of the back propagation algorithm. Then that means this is just a kind of supervised learning. This is just a kind of supervised learning, that is training samples are passed through the network and the output obtained from the network is compared with the actual output. If an error is there, then that means what is that error? That error is called, in terms of neural network, that is loss. So that loss is back propagated through the neural network. So our main aim is just to minimize this loss.
We have one doubt from our online viewer. So he's asking, like, if we use AI for tagging, does it mean we have, or we are compensating for lack of domain knowledge?
Yes?
The question is, if we use AI for tagging, does it mean we lack domain knowledge? Is that why AI is being used?
No, we can say we can do with the help of simple machine learning models also, but if we use artificial intelligence, then that means just we get similar type of features, and similar type of features are matched with the, just you can say, your training data. So with the help of that, we can just tag the images. So the error is used to change the weight of the neurons so that error decreases gradually. Training a network is just training to minimize its loss. What is loss? Loss is just, we can say, error. What is loss? It is just an error. So our purpose is just to minimize that error. Our purpose is just to minimize that error. So in case of neural network, we do not say that we always go with the accuracy. Our aim is also to minimize this loss. So this is done using the back propagation algorithm. So here we can see in the figure, these are the image features, and here these features are passed to the neural network, and here whatever the output is there, if that output does not match with the actual output, some error is there, that error is back propagated, and according to that error, these weights are updated. So training a neural network means just we are getting the exact values of these weights. Our main aim is to just getting the values of these weights. So just we can say, if we say a simple image is given as input to the neural network, then that means here so many number of layers are there. So many number of layers are there, then that means there are just, we can say, a number of parameters. For example, here 1000 neurons, and if we have just this image, then that means we have 50 million parameters. 50 million parameter means again a lot of data. So then that means we have to deal with such data. How to handle this data, and how to just, we can say, get the actual values or just correct values of these weights or parameters. So just we can say that is here our aim is just to get the actual values of these parameters. So we need a lot of training data. We need a lot of training data. So just we can say, if we do not have these, so if we, our main aims to have less number of weights. You have listened these terms, that is the lightweight models. Lightweight models means just we can say, if the number of parameters are less, we develop such a neural network which has less number of parameters. Then that means less number of parameter means we have to train the neural network so that we have to get less number of parameters exact values. Then that means our model is light, we need less training data. So just we can say, in case of simple fully connected neural network, if we have want to process the images, then so many parameters is there, and model memorize specific noise rather than general features. What does it mean? See here again this figure, that is, if we say what are these green, x1 to xn, these are the pixel values of the image, and how these values are, we have converted our two-dimensional image to the 1D image. Now see, every value is connected to the every neuron in the next layer. So if we have 2D image, and the value in the upper left corner will also have some role to the value in the lower left corner, then that means spatial relationship has been lost in case of simple neural network. That is not requirement in case of our images. So just we can say, in case of standard neural networks, these are translation variant. These are not translation invariant. What does it mean? That is, if we have an image, and in that image we have some picture of dog or cat, and in the next picture again we have dog or cat, but the position of the dog or cat just is not the same, then we can say the input to this neural network will totally change. So then that means these simply neural networks are not translation invariant. These are translation variant. So that is why we need some other type of networks, that is convolutional neural network. So this is again the same problem that I have explained in the last slide, that is just in fully connected layer, every input pixel talks to every hidden neuron. So just this is the 2D image. 2D image has been converted to the one-dimensional vector, and this one-dimensional vector is given as input to the every neuron. So just we can say this pixel in the image also plays some role for this pixel in the image, because every pixel value is connected to the every neuron. That is not our requirement in case of images. So this is the need of convolutional neural network. So here just we transition from the, just you can say simple intelligence, or you can say to the spatial intelligence. Spatial intelligence means, just here we can see, rather than converting 2D image into the 1D vector, we perform the local receptive fields, that is the convolution operation, with the help of some kernels. So here, what is that operation? We have some filters or kernels having some weights. So now these filters are processed with the help of these images. So neuron should only see a small window. See this. Now here we are using as 3 into 3 filter. So 3 into 3 filter means here we will use just 3 into 3 receptive field. So an object is just a collection of local relationship. By ignoring distant pixels, we reduce parameters by 99.9%. So just you can see in the last image, every pixel is connected to the every neuron. But here just we have local receptive fields, and again these fields share the weights, or these field kernels, these filters share the weights. So number of weights are reduced. So just we can say, intelligence is not about seeing everything, it is about knowing where to look and who your neighbors are. So just this is just we can say shifting from the simple neural network to the convolutional neural network. That is, in case of dense wave, we have global connectivity, and in case of spatial we have local connectivity. In case of simple neural network, every pixel is independent. Here pixel form the structures. These phase at the high resolution, this scales to the 4K and beyond. So this is just similar to reading a book, letter by letter, just same pixel by pixel, and here reading a book word by word. Then that means spatial intelligence is there. So we solve this parameter explosion by teaching AI to see like a human rather than reading a matrix like a computer. So this is how CNN evolves. So this is the next topic that I will cover, convolutional neural network. So convolutional neural network come into the picture for processing images with the help of deep learning. So here we see every simple convolutional neural network is just a combination of so many layers because it is a deep learning. A number of layers are there. Convolution layers are there, max pool layers are there, fully connected layers are there. So in the last we see here, in the last again we have fully connected neural network. But initially we have convolution operations. So what are these convolution operations? See here, again same. A specialized architecture that processes data with a grid-like topology. It transforms raw data into a probability vector representing the class scores. So just you can see local connectivity. Local connectivity means unlike dense layers, CNN neurons only look at the nearby pixels as I have explained earlier. So mimics the human visual system, detects simple edges before the complex objects. So eliminates global noise and focus on the structural patterns. Global noise means that is now this pixel may not play a role in whenever we deal with this pixel depending upon the kernel size. So this is the example how kernel behaves or how convolution takes place in case of images. See, this is just we can say a 5 into 5 image is there and this is the 3 into 3 kernel is there. So instead of unique weights for every pixel, we reuse a small kernel across the entire image. We use a small kernel. Now see, this is an example of a kernel. For let us suppose the kernel has initial weights 1 0 minus 1 1 0 minus 1 1 0 minus 1. Now how this behaves? First, this kernel is placed here. Now see here, every corresponding pixel is multiplied with the kernel value. So 7 into 1 plus 4 into 1 plus 3 into 1 plus 2 into 0 plus 5 into 0 plus so on, we get here value 6. Similarly, after that stride operation is there, stride here is 1. Again the same kernel is placed on the just by sliding one pixel. Same kernel is placed, then that means same weights have been shared. So again we can see here this convolution operation is translation invariance. A vertical edge is the same feature regardless of its coordinates. Because if in this image when we place this kernel, similar type of values will be there, and if we translate an object from here to here, again somewhere we will get the similar type of values. So a billion pixel problem is solved using just with the 9 weights. So in case of fully connected neural network, you have so many parameters, but here we have reduced a number of parameters. So filters automatically learn to sharpen, blur or detect edges. So this is the way how kernel. Now next is, as in the last slide we have discussed that stride is 1. But if we want to reduce more data, and then rather than applying stride 1, we can apply more than one stride also. So we can have just stride 2 plus also, like this. So now this is all about when we do convolution operation on the grayscale images. But in case of colored images? In case of colored images, we can say same filter is applied to all the channels, that is RGB, red, green and blue. Same filter is applied, similar type of convolution operation is done, that is corresponding pixel values are multiplied with the kernel values, and then summation is done with the red channel, with the green channel, and with the blue channel. And after that we summation. Again apply the summation operation. So just we can see here, if we have here the image that is 32 into 32 into 3, then after convolving we have 30 into 30 into 1 with 3 into 3 filter. As we have seen in the last slide, after applying the convolution operation, if we do not have zero padding or any other type of padding, then the size of the image reduce after the convolution operation. And again we can see here the depth is 3, but here depth is 1, because all the components have been added, that is red, green and blue. But in case of deep learning, we rather than having with single kernel, we have a number of kernels. For example, here we have used 32 kernels. So when we have 32 kernels, then that means here 32 into 32 into 3 images there, here some padding also has been used. Then for each kernel we will get different type of output. So weights per filter will be 3 into 3 into 3 channels, that is 27 weights. Total weights per layer is this, and output and activation map of size this. We will get this. Now see, after this convolution operation, these stacked feature maps are passed to the pooling layer. So what is pooling layer? Again it is used to simplify the data. That is again to reduce the data. So just we can see here pooling. Pooling means we can do max pool, we can do average pool, or we can do just min pool. Any type of pooling operation can be done. So here once applied immediately after convolution, pooling reduces the spatial size, that is width into height of the feature map, while preserving its depth. So parameter reduction, fewer pixel means fewer computation in the subsequent layers. Then that means after pooling operation we have reduced the size, then that means data has been reduced. So data has been reduced means fewer computations will be there. So fighting overfitting, by discarding precise pixel location, the model learns to be less sensitive to the minor noise. Spatial intelligence, it shifts the focus from where exactly is this pixel to is this feature present in the area. So this is just we can say here size of the just we can say output of the convolution layer is like this. After the pooling layer, size of the image has been reduced. So this is the way just how pool works. For example, here just we have applied max pool with 2 into 2 filter. So when 2 into 2 filter is placed here, max pool is there, maximum value here it is from 7 to 4 and 5 is 7. So it becomes 7 here. Again when to this portion 5 to 4 7, 7 is the maximum here, 7 is there, 3 3 6 4, 6 is there, 4 2 8 6, 8 is there. So this is the way how max pool performs the operation. Now see, from here we see how CNN learns the features. Now see this image, this particular image. Here we see this image is a particular animal, but when the convolution operation is performed here, this convolution operation will map to just this pixel, this small square here, then this square, then this whole area. When convolution operation is performed here, this area will just come down to only this area. So in the first layer, just you can see the square marked 1 is obtained from the area in the image where the leaves are painted. In the second layer, the square marked 2 is obtained from the bigger square in layer 1. So just you can see here 2. This 2 is obtained from this. Just you can see this bigger square. Now this bigger square, if we see this from where this bigger square is there, this square is from this portion, this square is from this portion. Then that means here we can say the initial layers are looking at the smaller regions of the image, and thus they can only learn simple features like edges and corners. that is the initial layers, only learn, just you can see, look at the smaller regions, and they learn only the simple features like edges and corners. As we go deeper into the network, the neurons get information from larger parts of the image and from various other neurons. Thus, neurons at the later layers can learn more complicated features like eyes, legs, etc. Then this is the way how CNN works on the images. So at last when we want to recognize after number of convolution and pooling layers, we have to flatten the output again into a single dimensional. Then that means again we have to just flatten that output vector, and these output vectors can be again further connected to a fully connected neural network. Then that means till now we have extracted the features of the image, and after that these features can be given as input to a fully connected neural network for the classification purpose. So just you can say fully connected neural networks cannot interpret 3D grids. They require one-dimensional arrays. So every pixel in the final feature map represents a complex high-level feature. And while spatial coordinates are simplified, the strength of the detected features is preserved for the classifier. So just we can say after a number of convolution and pooling layers, the output is converted to a 1D vector. Just you can see here. Here we have an image of a digit 2, a number of, just you can say, convolution layer, pooling layers is there, and after that this, just you can say, spatial relationship is converted into, in the form of which is 3D matrix, that is converted into a 1D vector which is passed to the fully connected neural network, and after that we have class probabilities, and again we can say final interpretation is just final layer uses the softmax function to output class scores, and the index with the highest value is the model's prediction. So we can say what is the model's prediction, that the image probability of the image being 2 is the 98%. So CNN automate the understanding of complex environment by turning cluttered pixels into the actionable plan. Now again, if we see here, we have just moved from the neural network to the convolutional neural network. But again, for convolutional neural network, we need a lot of data. But for some particular problems, we may not have some data. For example, for any medical problem, we may not have, just you can say, data of the persons having a particular disease. From where to get that data? So for that, the concept of transfer learning is there. Then that means if we want to deal with the problems where we have not too much data, we can have the concept of transfer learning. What is transfer learning? Just again similar to our human intelligence. For example, sometimes we have seen some just a picture of fruit, but we do not what type of fruit it is. But we want match that this seems like that. Then that means our brain is trained with some similar type of problems, and we recognize the fruit which we have not seen earlier with the knowledge that we have gained from our previous. So that is again here used in the concept of deep learning, that is concept of transfer learning. Here we can see in case of traditional learning, if we want to recognize these oval shapes, these triangles, these just diamond shapes, then for different tasks we have different type of models. But in case of transfer learning, if we have trained our model using ovals and just triangles, we can apply same knowledge to identify these diamond shapes. So just we can say training a deep CNN from scratch requires massive data and compute. Transfer learning makes data science capable of reusing the feature vector. Then that means we train our model on some other type of problem, and that trained model can be used to solve some other type of problem. So this is the concept of transfer learning. So just you can say, instead of random initialization, we transfer the weights from a model pre-trained on a large data set. For example, a number of pre-trained models are there in the literature. You have listened the terms BGG16, ResNet. All these are the pre-trained models. These pre-trained models are already trained on the data set, that is the ImageNet data set. What is this data set? This data set is having the pictures of just different objects of 1,000 classes. So every model is trained on that data set. Now see here, we keep the layers. We keep the layers that detect edges and textures. You can see here. Here we have just some source data set, some convolution layers, and then some dense layers are there. And here just we can say this model is trained only to recognize the images of the dog. Now see, same knowledge is used to recognize the images of dogs and cats. So here what we have done, just you can see here we have frozen these layers and we have trained our model only for the last layers. Then that means the weights for these layers are already we have got from the previous knowledge. So just you can say, now with the help of this transfer learning we have achieved this scalability. How scalability? Just training 1% of the parameter is 100 times faster than the original. Because in case of traditional learning, we have to learn so many parameters. So many parameters means we need so much data. So, but in case of transfer learning, we have freeze some layers. And freeze some layers, now we have to train only some of the layers, the last layers. And only the last layer means less number of parameters. Less number of parameters means training is fast. So here in case of transfer learning we need 100 of images instead of millions. Now next portion is just here what we have covered till now. We have covered just images, what are the images, how images are processed using the computers. Then we have just learned about the neural networks. Then for processing images, why we need convolutional neural networks. Now next is, what is the problems that CNN face? What are the problems that CNN face? Now see, CNN are the local thinkers. They process small 3 into 3 squares to understand a relationship between distant objects. They must become incredibly deep. See this picture. Here a person is, just you can see, having 2 phones in each hand. So when a CNN works, how CNN will work? CNN will work just like this, small receptive field, 3 into 3 filters. So just to get the information, that is to just the action, that is a CNN identifies the phone but struggle to understand the action, that the person is talking on the phone as well as the person is having another phone in other hand. So then that means this is the problem in case of convolutional neural network, because convolutional neural network deal with only the small receptive fields. So from here just we can see one more problem. Just you can see, if we have just a traffic control system, we have installed the cameras on in the city, then how to see the traffic. Now when we process the video, what is a video? It is a sequence of frames. Sequence of frame means it is again each frame is consists of pixels. So then that means to analyze that video, the system has to process each pixel. So then that means even the empty roads or the roads with the car, the system has to deal with both type of videos in the same way. So this is the problem just that we have faced with the CNN. So here the concept of graph neural network is there. That is intelligence over pixels. That is just we can say from pixels to the nodes. Pixels to the nodes. We strip away the pixels and keep only the nodes and edges. So in case of just we can say scenic graph, we will shift just that is we will have just the objects, that is a person and the phone and the relationship between them. So focus is 100% on the semantic relationship. Again in case of smart city graphs, we will have just different type of nodes, that is what type of objects can be there on the roads. There can be cars, there can be cycles, and what are the relationship between these. So we have only now these 70 nodes versus 8 million pixels. So just you can see, in case of videos, whenever we have to deal with or we want to process an image in which we want to understand the image, semantic relationship in the image having different objects, so we have to shift from the CNN to the GNN. So we can see what is CNN. This is just a magnifying glass. And what is GNN? It is a network diagram. Here it is deal with the pixels and here it deal with the relationship. And CNN only deal with what is present in the picture. Is this a car? And GNN deals with the action. Will this car cause an accident? So just you can see here, because we have to process every pixel, the cost in case of CNN is high, but here we have to deal only with the nodes and edges, so the cost processing is low. So just we can see this is the way how we convert from or how we shift from CNN to the GNN. So we can see in case of CNN we have the concept of Euclidean distance. That is every pixel is connected or having 8 neighbors. Every pixel is having 8 neighbors, left, right, up and down and diagonal. But so this is a fixed structure and uniform distance is there. But in case of graph neural network, topological graph, we do not have fixed structure. We have just the concept of graph. Each node is connected to some other nodes. For example, if we say the real world example, in case of Facebook, you have some friends. So how this, just you can say, all things are maintained in case of Facebook in the form of graphs. You have a friend, you are having some friends, so you are connected with your friends. And your friends now are having some other friends, they are connected with those. So then that means this whole social network is represented with the help of graph. So just we can see here GCN, that is graph neural network. So again, just we can say in case of graph, what we store, each node can represent a pixel or each node can represent as a combination of pixels. Combination of a pixel means just a superpixel, a cluster of similar pixels. For example, you have identified that this is a there is an object in the picture, that is image. You can there is an object in the picture that is of picture of cat. Now you can represent that cat as a node. So then that means nodes in the graph can be a pixel or can be a superpixel. That is a collection of pixels depending upon your problem. And each node has a feature vector. Each node has a feature vector. What are these feature vectors? These can be the color, its intensity, its texture, its geometric features, that is XY coordinates, then semantic information, that is that information that it has learned from the previous layers. So just we can see here an example. This is a graph having 5 nodes. So here I think all of you know the concept of adjacency matrix that is used in case of data structures. How graph is represented using the adjacency matrix. So just you can see here graph is there of 5 nodes. So 5 into 5 adjacency matrix is there. So A is connected to E. So only here 1 is present. E is connected to every node. Just here, so here we can see for every node it has 1. So again this is the degree matrix, just number of incoming and outgoing edges. Now this is the feature vector. Now each node can have its own features. So these features are for each node. These are again stored in the form of a matrix. That is, each node has its own features. So just you can say a GNN does not know its own color. It talks to its neighbor to understand the context. So like a person at a party, a node's identity is shaped by the people it talks to. Then that means in case of GNN, whenever we want to identify a particular node, the node is not known only by seeing it. It also known by seeing its relationship to its neighbors. So the goal is to create a rich description of every point based on its relationship. So this is the technique how GNN works, just by passing the messages. Just you can see here that for every node a message is passed from its neighboring node, and these messages are summation of these messages is done here, and then whatever the action that is matched with the actual output, and if the actual output does not match with your computed output, then that means some loss is there. If some loss is there, again back propagation is done. So graph neural network behaves in the same way as the simple neural network. So just you can say send every node prepares a message about itself. A node collects all messages from its neighbors. The node combines its old info with the new neighborhood gossip to update its state. So multi-hop effect is there. That is layer 1, you know about your friends. Layer 2, you now know about your friends of friends. Then that means again this graph neural network has a number of layers. So depending upon your requirement, here is some example how this message passing works in case of graph neural network. Now see, let us suppose we have an image. Here image is of, just we can say, our environment having some clouds and the sky. Now see, what are if the initial values of the pixel, that is actual cloud, that is 0.51, that these are the intensity values of feature, we can say feature values, and its neighbor is having 0.48, that is the neighbor of the cloud, and the pixel values of the actual sky is 0.45, and its neighbor is 0.47. Now see, the gap between x2 and x3 is only of 0.01. So a simple threshold 0.5 would wrongly put x2 in the sky category. So see here, the difference between these two is only 0.1. So x2 is actually cloud neighbor. But because the difference is too less, we can say x2 is also sky. But how this problem is solved? Using the graph topology. Now see, in case of graphs, we do not let node 2 decide its identity alone. We use the adjacency matrix to define who it should listen to. Then that means we do not just only say that node 2 will decide its identity. Its identity will be decided by its neighbors also, its friends also. So friends, if the same reason is there, then we have just connected node 1 and node 2 with weight 1, and different reason node 2 and 3 are connected with weight 0.1. So by setting the weight to 0.1, we tell the artificial intelligence system, listen to your friend but mostly ignore the stranger across the border. So here we can see how message passing works. Now we compute the new value. We compute the new value. Here new value is just, we can see how it is computed. 0.48 into 1. 0.48 into 1 means its own weight. Plus 0.51 into 1, that is friend. Plus 0.47 into 0.1, that is stranger. So for this, when we have computed new value for the node 2, it comes to 1.037. And for similarly, when we have calculated for the node 3, it is 0.968. Now see, from here we can see before graph GNN, node 2 has value 0.48, node 3 was having value 0.47. So the gap is only of 0.01. So then that means this gap is just too less. So just we can say we can wrongly identify node 2. But after applying graph neural network, the difference is of 0.069. So just we can say GNN use the topology to pull pixels towards their true group. Then that means now it actually belongs to its actual class. So again, here we can see in this model we have used just default weights, that is 1 and 0.1, but when we train graph neural network, we actually train these parameters. We actually get these weights by training the neural network. So same way we calculate the loss, and that loss is back propagated, and according to the loss, weights are updated. So this is again gradient back propagation and how to update. So again, in case of graph neural network, we have the concept of pooling layer, that is we can combine several nodes to a single node. So pooling can be done in case of graph. So in last we can see, in case of actual video processing or image processing, we do not have only the concept of CNN or only the concept of GNN. We have to use both. For CNN, just to detect the objects, and graph neural network just to detect the action. So just you can say CNN training is learns to extract the better pixels, and GNN training is learn to build better edges. So just you can say, in case of CNN, object detection and feature extraction is done, and in case of GNN, reasoning is done, that is relational modeling and prediction is done. So again, in summary, just we can say CNN reduces high dimensional raw pixels into the compact meaningful feature vectors, and topology for reasoning moving beyond the grid to a flexible graph defining entity interactions. So again, now we will discuss the application areas where these concept of CNN and GCN can be used in combination. For example, in case of smart farming, farms are too big to check every plant by hand. So simple logic, drone takes photos, CNN looks at each leaf to see if it is having some disease. GNN connects all the plants in a map to see how a disease is spreading and or where the soil is dry. Then that means CNN deals with just what, and GNN deals with how and what to do. Action plan. So you only water or spray medicine exactly where the graph says it is needed. So same again, city planning and safety. When a bridge breaks, how does it affect the whole city? For example, after any disaster, after floods or anything, whenever any disaster is there in any city, some bridges breaks. So which bridge has the most effect in the city? So satellite take pictures of the city. CNN spots cracks or damage. GNN treats the city like a giant web of roads and bridges. Just connectivity of the city. So result, it tells emergency workers which road is the most important to fix first to know the city, to keep the city moving. So this is just, you can say, how the combination of CNN and GNN is actually can be used to solve the real world problems. Similarly, fast warehouses, robots can get stuck or take long pass in the big warehouses. Cameras watch the warehouse floor. CNN identifies the boxes and robots. GNN calculates the traffic on the map. And action, robots find the shortest path and never crash and make deliveries fast. Similarly, reading documents, just computers often get confused by complex forms. So CN sees the text blocks and stamps, GNN understand the number at the bottom right is the total price. So computers can read and sort millions of bills perfectly in the seconds. Then again, power grid protection. One small wire failure can cause a whole city blackout. Then thermal cameras look for hot spot on power lines. The CNN task. GNN map how one wire is connected to the rest of the grid. And engineers fix the most critical wires before they break, keeping the lights on. Similarly, robots and humans, that is robots in factories can be dangerous if they hit a human. So Steve sensor watch the worker, the CN identifies human's arm or leg. GNN predicts the social space, it calculates where the human will move next. Robot automatically slows down or moves away so humans and robots can work side by side safely. So just we can say processing every pixel in 4K or 8K video is computationally unsustainable. So by focusing only on the relevant nodes, we reduce the computational footprint by 90%. So topological models allow high-end vision to scale to the low-power edge devices. Scaling is not just about the size, it is about making AI smarter and more sustainable. So this is the conclusion, that is visual reasoning in today's ultimate real-world scalable data challenge. Combining CNN features with GNN structures is the key to fast, scalable and intelligent research. So in this lecture I have tried to explain that is, in case of data, in today's world, main concern is with the visual data. So how to just handle this data with the help of deep learning techniques. This is all about this lecture. Thank you.